fellow spiritual warriors. Bishop Darren Martell here alongside my brother and fellow warrior, Mr. Brendan Vesey. This is Bridging the Gap, the only podcast that talks about all things spiritual and paranormal, and you guessed it, bridges the gap between them. So, I had a very, very good kind of little hiatus for the past week. Me and the missus went up to Maine with our 4-month-old son, Gabriel, who's with us tonight in the studio-ish thing we have going here alongside our producer, Miss Kayla Cormier. Yay, she's here with us to discuss.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm not sure she's here to discuss. She's here to laugh, criticize, and ridicule what we talk about. So.
And if you don't mind me saying, you are a skeptic, which is we need that kind of that mentality in here, because I told you before we went on the air that if it was just him and I talking about tonight's subject, we would convince each other that there was like a face in the picture of my dog.
Like that one dude on the Ancient Aliens.
It's not saying it's aliens, but
I can
aliens.
absolutely confirm that.
So tonight's topic is actually a good one. We're going to be discussing some spiritual apparitions, spiritual happenings within the supernatural field, such as, the bleeding statues, the statues that weep oil.
There's sightings of angels.
Yes.
Quote-unquote.
Miracles within the church.
Right.
And then we're also going to discuss a topic that Kayla actually mentioned before we went on air. It's matrixing. The ability for people to look down and make things believable in their own minds.
Well, here's the X factor with that, because everybody wants to believe, whether it be in God, Jesus, spirits, angels, demons, and that's great, and we're part of that. But on the flip side of that, we also have the mindset, okay, it could be something explainable like, wind or moisture in the air, or something more explainable as to why occurrences are happening.
And more times than not, there is a scientific explanation for it, but we'll get into that in our second segment. But just to start out, kind of keep things easy, how was this past week for you, sir?
Let's see.
What did you do? What kept you busy? Anything paranormal or spiritual happened to you?
I did a bowl of sugar.
Well, okay.
I failed dressed a cat.
Oh, boy. Took a couple shots of brown liquor. I've heard this one before. Thank you.
No, so really I kept doing what I'm doing. I got done reading the Deuteronomy.
All right. How was that?
Interesting. So, we got to where Moses, saw the promised land, quote unquote, but it's like, you see that? Nope, don't go there.
One of my favorite comedians, Lewis Black, and I'm not going to quote it because that's some expletives in there that I'm trying not to put on the air. Yeah. But he's basically like, the Old Testament God was kind of a jerk. Because he's like, hey, Moses, you're not getting in. Kiss my rear.
Well, no, see, I'm sorry. I got God's back on this because he had a very simple structure and rules to follow.
He did.
But even today, people, it's the whole entitlement crap.
Yep.
Everywhere, I mean, the whole... 5 books. You hear people. I'm sorry.
Well, here's my issue: is Moses spends his entire life. He leads the people out of slavery.
It's not Moses having an issue with his people. That
but they were impatient. He goes up to Mount Sinai. He gets the laws of God that God carved, like by his own hand, and he brings them down, and there's the people, hey, here's this golden calf that we now think's our God because we couldn't wait, 40 days.
I can almost see Moses up there going, down!
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I can see where God kind of had a little bit of a grudge.
No, I get it. I mean, I get it.
And still, he's like, well, I can't really, kill humanity again. I kind of made a new covenant. So I'm just going to get mad. And Moses, Moses, you're going to be the scapegoat here. You're not getting in. You're the example I'm setting. I know you did all this work to get them here. Here's the promised land. This is what it looks like. Heaven's a lot better, so I'm just going to kill you now. Come on with me.
I mean,
that's kind of what it was.
Not trying to simplify it, but I mean, that's what it was. I mean,
the Bible talks about how Moses was actually staring at the promised land when he died, a strong-minded man, and God buried him and took him to heaven.
But one of the things that got through the Old Testament, which is, I'm laughing, is like, so many people have these false idols or these golden statues.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times God had to repeat himself, like, I'm done repeating myself. Yeah. I'm like, do what you gotta do, but not coming up.
Second commandment. I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of slavery. Worship no God other than me.
And yet people still want to complain when things go sour and want to blame God.
Yeah.
But yet they didn't want to praise him when things go good. It's like you can't have it both ways. I'm sorry.
See, I think I just got the commandments wrong. I think that was the first commandment. He was like, rule number 1, I'm the only one. End of story, Alpha and Omega. It's been a long week. I usually don't get my commandments mixed up. And I've broken them all. So
even Gabe is judging you now. So.
My son's looking at me and he's just like, Dad,
even I
really?
do that.
Well, you can't judge me. My son can't.
Well, no, I'm speaking for Gabriel. He knew better. Knows better than both of us. So.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? It was a good week for us too. We had a chance to go up and see Kayla's family up in Portland, Maine, and Clinton, Maine, and unfortunately the circumstances were not, weren't too great. I mean, it was a celebration of life for her grandfather, a wonderful man who had passed away a little young for his time, though. But it was a wonderful gathering of family, and it was great to be around. And Gabe, of course, was the star of the show, and he helped a lot of people.
Well, babies have a unique gift at doing that, just remind people there's still life to live.
Yeah.
And like for me, I've always viewed death differently than most people. I mean, because a lot of people think like once you die, that's it. There's no talking. I mean, it's the end. Me, because of my faith and my time studying the paranormal, it's nothing more than just I'll see you later. I mean,
and that's what kept me so. And to go off that, I totally agree, because what kept me kind of on my feet, especially when my father passed away, and then my mother 2 years prior, was the fact that this is not goodbye. And I quote what you just said is, "I will see you later," because I have a good feeling of where I'm going.
Right.
When I die, I have no doubt of where they are.
Whether they're asleep or already in heaven, either or.
Remember what my aunt said about an hour or 2 hours before my grandfather passed away. He looked into the corner of the hospital room and he reached out.
Well, bedside spirits are very common.
Wasn't that your Uncle Scott? He thought, but he possibly.
Well, he didn't say anything. I mean, we're just speculating as to who he could have been seeing there, but
that's Mom had a bedside, or I guess I visited her before she checked out. I don't know I'm stuttering, but maybe that's just how the thing. Like when you're fixing to leave, maybe your parents are going to visit you. Maybe my mom's going to see you.
Where the spiritual and supernatural world kind of mingles too is like when my mother passed away in 2018. I remember going up to my father's room because he lived with me at the time, and I just put my ear to the door. And this was mere hours after we got the phone call, where we were packing actually to leave, and I hear him saying, "Barbara, I'm not ready for you to go. I don't want to be lonely anymore. Don't leave yet." And knowing that she's already passed away, and before that she was still 6 hours away, so I completely believe in my heart that he was talking to her, and that she was comforting him.
And that's the thing. I don't feel Mom all the time, but I felt her presence. But she's visited me in dreams, and I didn't see her, but I felt her energy.
Yeah. And
even my dad's dad, I never physically met him in his life. He passed away in 74, 75.
Yeah.
And maybe earlier than that, but I've always felt a strong bond with him.
Yeah.
Even though I never met him. But the thing with family, would have been your brother, your sister, we're going to see each other again on the other side.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that. And that's the thing, I don't completely, when people are like, oh, there's no, you won't recognize anyone in heaven. You're all going to be family. I totally disagree. I totally believe in soulmates. I believe that you will recognize the people who you loved in life, and they'll be up there with you.
And that's it's like I said, it's kind of a mixture of both, but not really. Yes, we're not going to be the same image in heaven, but we are still going to recognize each other because of our souls or vibes or whatever you want to call it.
I feel like we're each a part of each other's personal heaven and paradise, because you want to be around the ones who give you so much joy in life, and I think the good Lord allows that to happen. That's part of your reward, is the fact that you get to enjoy what made you the happiest in your life, and that's
and whether they're soulmates or twin flames, call them what you call it. I remember
I think someone can have more than one soulmate.
And I believe that.
And I don't mean just in the romantic way.
No.
I just mean I think people have soul ties in lots of different ways.
Right. It's just like I said, it's a soul tie. That's what it is. We're tied.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely.
You might have been his son in a previous life.
Yeah, and you might have been...
You young whippersnapper?
Yeah. We might have been lovers. Well, okay. No.
What? Well, just remember, you're wearing a dress in the situation.
Ah, boy. Then Gabe's over here like, Dad, stop it right now. Stop. But yeah, it's just, the supernatural element in it. If you ever think about, like, death, exactly, son, yes. If you think about death and what happens after, it's a scary thought to think about. Every time I think about...
It very much is.
Like, think about, like, in your head, okay, I'm going to be dead, but it goes on forever after. That's kind of scary to think it never ends. Well, it never goes away.
Well, that's the thing I think people overlook. God is eternal. Energy is eternal. Yeah. God, just call it what you want. God is eternal.
Yeah.
Which means energy is eternal, which means our souls are eternal.
Yeah.
I can keep going on with that philosophy.
Exactly.
So, everything we see is will burn away. That's what it's supposed to do.
What if we get up to heaven and literally we're all having a great time and all of a sudden Archie's like, all right, I'm kind of tired of this. I'm turning off the lights. Click. And then it's over. And then it starts over. Who's to say... I try to never to say who's to say because that's really not a powerful argument to say that. But who's to say that... when we get to heaven and everything, that it's not one of those, okay, now we'll start this all over again, boom.
Well, see, that's what I almost laugh at most religions because they just know what's going to happen. I'm like, you have a good idea what might happen, but you do not know definitely for sure what's going to. And that's all I've been saying with this whole thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
Because yes. I believe in soulmates. I believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
I believe in twin flames, which is kind of like soulmates, but maybe
kindred spirits.
Right. Well, because I was dating this girl in the Navy, we just hit it off. Our energies. Like I remember one time, I was getting ready for muster. I felt someone grab my shoulder. Mm-hmm. I turned around, nobody was there. I said something to her, and she mentioned it was me. She was basically astraled.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to put her hand on my shoulder.
Yeah.
But, fast forward, she's pretty much blocked from my life because if I see her, the psycho violins go off my head.
Psycho violins?
Yeah, so I was like, she is not allowed in my life, but whether I like her or not, we still have that connection, so.
Here's the thing, it's like with our relationship, we met in 2001, like tail end 2001, and we always had a connection, even with the years that we had our falling out and that we weren't speaking. We were still somehow, on each other's minds in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And finally, I feel, the good Lord and the universe decided, boom, it's time for you guys to reconnect because you guys have grown. You guys have lived life, and it's time to expand. And look what we've done. We've created a very healthy and wonderful family through it. And I think that's a blessing. I think that was, in my faith, that's God's way of saying, okay, you have lived, you've messed up, but you've come back from those mess ups.
Well, the thing is, before we go to break, the last thing I'm going to say is trust his timing.
Oh, yeah.
You met in 2001 for specific reasons. To, I guess, break the ice, quote unquote, because the stuff he wanted y'all to do just wasn't then.
Oh, I was just a goofy teenager who saw a pretty girl. That's a
right.
I actually, there's more to that. I kind of fell in love with you pretty quickly.
Oh,
I really mean that. I mean that. But,
Darren and Kayla sit in a tree.
We already made the baby.
So. There we go. So, and baby's grinning at you something good. So.
He is.
No, but eventually,
yeah,
it's words.
Words fail all of us at times.
Well, the thing is, we got to understand that we're not going to have the answers. Nobody's going to have the answers. I don't care how educated you are. But if we listen to the Holy Spirit, we can get a good idea of where we're going.
Yeah. And you're talking about God's timing too. It's just that's something I've learned not to question. That's something I've learned just let him have it.
It's a pain. I get it. I doubt just as much as everybody else, but
all in all, I like how we kind of just opened up about. Because this could lead into a whole other episode talking about.
Oh, it will. Because it's funny because we're just kind of talking right now. We don't really have a topic until later here in a few minutes. But at the same time, it's like we're laying down foundations for future conversations.
Exactly. So I'll tell you, our next segment is going to be about the wonderful world of matrixing. And I want to get your opinion, Miss Kayla.
And not the movie.
My beauty here.
I have one.
Yes, you have an opinion.
She has many opinions.
Yeah, about the wonderful world of matrixing. But first, we're going to take our usual 1-minute break here just to calm down and just kind of relax. We'll be back here in just a second. This is Bridging the Gap. Stay tuned. And we are back here on Bridging the Gap, the only podcast that talks about all things spiritual, paranormal, and you guessed it, tries to bridge the gap between them. Bishop Darren Martell here alongside my brother and fellow spiritual warrior, Mr. Brendan Vesey.
Woo!
We had a wonderful first segment, just kind of shooting the breeze, talking about a number of different things from the supernatural and kind of like afterlife aspects. So let's talk about one of our favorite topics here, and I know that you've actually mentioned this a lot during investigations, kind of pre-investigation, kind of making sure your mind's right here. And who I'm talking to, this is my wonderful, wonderful Mrs. here, Miss Kayla Corm here, also a investigator with with Elite Fixin' Paranormal.
Wow.
I almost got that one wrong. And also joining us is our beautiful and very vocal son, Gabriel, here, and he is not too happy.
He's got a lot on his mind, all right?
He's got a lot. He's telling us a story. He told a story during break. I can't really repeat it. It was kind of a weird story.
Yeah, it's a family thing, so.
So anyways, matrixing. So go ahead, Miss Kayla, and tell us exactly what matrixing is.
Educate us.
Well, it's all in your brain, really. Like, and let's say you're like sitting in the dark, or you're looking at a picture of like fire or something. Your brain is going to try to put familiar patterns and shapes together where there's no input that's being received, you know? So
basically like looking down a dark hallway with your team and being like, did you see what's down there? Did you see the shape move?
Which is also one of the reasons why I get kind of over hunting and doing investigations in complete darkness. Because, I mean, if a place has spiritual activity, it's not going to matter. If
Right.
It's
No, I'm with you on that one.
But it is going to affect how we interpret our surroundings.
It's kind of weird, too. It's like we're saying that the ghosts are afraid of us if the lights are on.
Right.
So they have to have the dark to hide away from the humans.
It exacerbates matrixing.
Yeah. And it allows, I mean, I've seen it time and again. We've been on multiple teams, the three of us. We've seen it time and again where we'll have that one investigator. I really felt this. Oh, wait. Did you see those two eyes at the end of the hallway?
Oh, gosh.
They're blinking at me. And usually, I'm sitting there, like the three of us will sit there and be like, I
if you look
I didn't
hard
see
enough,
anything.
the darkness will blink at you no matter where you're at.
The darkness blinks at me every day.
it's you're gonna see what your brain wants to see. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
and that's a question I've been asking you before, and I felt like I was kind of out, maybe like an oddball here in the paranormal field for never feeling like what everybody else is feeling.
well,
like.
the thing, and I'm with you. I'm with both of you 100% with matrixing and rational explanations to why things are happening, like noises, smells, things like that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, we're not there 24/7. We don't know if they are actually experiencing supernatural activity. It's one of those damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yeah.
Like I've been dealing with this particular couple nearby. They've been wanting me to come out to do a cleansing for them, and when the church itself has helped them many times, and they get tired of helping them. That's a sign that says they've done. If the church done all they could, and
how many times has the church tried to help? Because at certain points, the church has to be like, "Why are why do they keep going out there?
What kind of help are they seeking?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because I thought, they might need legit spiritual help, but they've been to people in this field for 20, 30 years, longer than I've been in this thing.
Some people just want to be validated. They just want other people to confirm.
Well, see, here's the thing about haunting, a typical investigation. First thing we're going to do is, okay, what is the history of the family, the house, the land, the property? Mm-hmm. Is there any history of mental illness, any type of substance abuse? These kinds of, these are, people may not want to party to disclose this information, but I hate to tell people it's a valid part of these questions because drugs or even the atmosphere can induce
illness,
induce hallucinations.
It's like in the Roman ritual, just for an exorcist, you have certain criteria you're looking for. Feats of superhuman strength, speaking in strange tongues, predicting the future, calling out demonic names, having a specific. If a person ever looks at me and calls out a name that's not of this world, that's strike one.
Speaking of demons, that growling that just happened was not a demon.
That was Oakley, our dog. Yeah,
FYI.
That's matrixing. If you
wow, they got something there. They don't even know it now.
But that's the thing. It's like there are certain criteria that not only the church uses, but a lot of like spiritual cleansers use, and it just seems there's so many more people nowadays, especially whom we've dealt with, that they don't even meet these criteria. And it's almost embarrassing. I hate to say.
The three of us have been in the field long. Like, it's not that we don't want to help people, and we're going to help them. But unfortunately, sometimes it's not going to be a typical paranormal case. And yes, we can validate your claims. Now, sometimes we can say your butt needs to be inpatient treatment, or you need to talk to a shrink, or you might need to just move. Something other than to say, yes, you have a ghost or you have a demon. I mean, it's not always going to happen that way.
Well, and that goes back to with matrixing on it, like investigations and stuff on, and I would go back to what I was saying of, I always felt like I was the odd man out when I didn't feel anything going on. I always be the one in the corner when everyone else is huddled up going, oh yes, I saw that down there. I'm like, I didn't see anything. Am I just not in the right mind space? I think I am in the right mind space of not allowing myself, and that comes with spiritual protection, not allowing yourself to get overwhelmed and overthink and, get carried away, because that's when you're like, oh, I saw it. We probably got it on tape. You don't see anything. You let yourself down at that point. You're disappointed. You didn't think that you caught anything. It's just...
Well, I mean, I think the spirits know me. I've been, the spirits of the hall know me. The ones at Thomas' house know me. I'm there to hang out and chat and BS. I'm not there. I mean, I'm not gonna mess with them. They're not gonna mess with me. I mean, it's mutual understanding.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of teams don't have the same mindset. But we've covered that before. So
yeah, that goes back to the whole doing ritualistic, games and.
But when I saw on TV, I think it was at the Myrtle's Plantation. They had that mirror in the foyer or by the front door.
Yeah,
and. But I don't always agree with Taps, but they made a good point when you take a picture of a mirror, you're going to get a lot of smudges, a lot of cracks. You're not going to see it with the naked eye because of the light reflection. But, when you blow up that camera, that picture, you can see all the lines on there, on that mirror.
Well, it's like there's...
Suddenly they're seeing faces.
Yeah, it's like there's one instance I was on the campus of Cumberland University. I was taking pictures. And at one point I thought I saw this face in the top window of where a tragedy had happened on the campus. And all of a sudden I was like, maybe that's this. And then I had to tell myself no, and I looked closer, and no, it was a shadow of a leaf on a tree. It's just little things like that.
I will say that in your defense, I do not, 99.9% of the orbs I see on video picture, is it a bug, bird, dirt, water, something.
I'm completely tired of orbs.
But
I don't even discuss orbs.
But the one you caught in that auditorium years ago.
Yeah, that's different. That had intelligence.
It had a pattern to it. Yeah. That's why it may be.
It made decisions.
Like a bug.
No. See, when I say
flight path?
Flight paths are different. There was like little speed. I mean, normally bugs have a direct flight path, and they actually have a little bit of quickness to them.
Bugs aren't very direct at all. Sometimes they just zigzag for no reason.
Well, this one had this thing was by the front seats. It was going this way. Then it went up the aisle and stopped for a good 2 or 3 seconds, and then moved on.
Yeah, it literally looked like it came out of the aisle and stopped in front of the camera. And I remember I busted out from base, and I ran into.
It could be a bug.
It definitely could be.
But I've not seen anything make that kind of motion.
It looked like it made an intelligent decision.
It had intelligence. That's my point.
But it came up the aisle, stood there, and it pulsated. And I'm not talking about not stood, but
it stood.
It hovered and pulsated, not like wings flapping that you'd think you'd see from an insect, but just slowly just pulsated 3 or 4 times. And then I felt like made an intelligent decision to go back into the back row. And that's when I bolted out from base to run in there and see if I could feel some sort of energy. But again, like you said, that could have just been a bug or something that flew by the camera. That's why, orbs are it's a very touchy subject, because it's like politics. No one ever wins when talking about orbs. Right. Some people believe that there's an energy. Other people that was dust.
Well, like I said, I'm with the majority of the cases where you have a lot of it's crap, but and I'm not just defending that video because it's our video, But at the same time, it's like.
Quote Brendan Vesey, a lot of it's crap. That should be the title of our book when we release it. A lot of it. It's Bridging the Gap. A lot of it's crap.
How to hunt ghosts.
Am I wrong, though?
No, you're not wrong. That's why the book would be probably a New York Times bestseller. And it rhymes. Bridging the Gap, a lot of it's crap.
Followed by what really grinds my gears.
What really grinds my gears. So, notes from the authors, we have none. Forward by nobody. No, it might be kind of off topic. No, I'll tell it during break. I don't want to waste the time. Don't want to waste the time.
Great. Now you got people want to know what you said during the break.
They can wonder and they can ponder. But yeah, matrixing in general, I think it's done more. It's done time and again. I think a lot of these I hate to say amateur.
It's not even an amateur mistake or phenomenon. Everyone does it. You just have to be aware of it when it's happening.
Yeah,
but it's literally your brain's response. You can't stop it from happening.
Yeah, and there's no real you can't really disprove it. What they're saying, you can't really prove that. It's almost a no-win kind of double-edged sword. I don't know. That's why I like to find the scientific evidence behind it, like temperature, really weird temperature fluctuations.
But sometimes there is proof. Sometimes there's a way to prove or disprove.
Yeah. Certain pieces of equipment that are more trustworthy than others. I'll be honest. I completely hate K2 meters. I hate them with a passion. They go off you could literally. Turn on your cell phone. Beep.
Well, that's with that kind of signal. Yeah, it picks it up in a heartbeat. And
do you know what I hate? Mm-hmm. What is it? Those ghost boxes? What are
the spirit boxes?
The spirit boxes.
Yeah, the radios, the sweeps of the radios.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that so much because that's a classic form of matrix, and you're going to hear what you want to hear.
I think he said hi. He said hello.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I will play. Well. The thing with white noise, it can be used, but you got to be,
It's at a frequency that the spirits are known to manifest.
Well, and also you get. I look for the voices that actually talk through the sweeps. Because when you get a full sentence through 4 or 5 sweeps, that's hard to debunk. Yeah. But it's like I said, when you get like a one-word answer.
Yeah, like if they hit 107.5 the river. Hey.
I just don't feel like it's ever useful evidence because there's just so much about it that it's just.
And that's like my thing with K2. So whenever I see one pulled out, I'm like, all right, turn off your walkie-talkies, turn off everything electronic. Oh Lord, if you pass gas, this thing's gonna go off.
Well, no for me.
Well, that happened at Wealden Manor. And, it really it irked me so badly. We're sitting there, and we had the K2 on the swing. In the middle, I forgot what hallway it was.
Oh, it was like the main hallway.
It was responding to the questions. The spirit, was responding to the questions. So what we thought, until one of the investigators we figured out was texting on her phone. And was in close proximity. And it seemed like every time she had pressed send, it would light up all the way to green or red or whatever.
But in her defense, at least she wasn't, blowing up her phone to everybody on Facebook at the train tracks. But that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's another story for another. We might have a whole episode on what not to do. Or people not to hire for your team. But no, in her defense, I don't think there's a defense because it wasted a good 30, 45 minutes of valuable time we could have been investigating when we're just sitting there and thinking something's happening. All of a sudden, boom, this thing's malfunctioning. So I will poo-poo the K2 meter for as long as I live. Now, I do like the millimeter. That thing has proven itself to be, because it's both a thermometer and it's an EMF detector.
Right.
So, and that thing gives some of the best readings. And besides the tri-meter, the tri-field meter and the millimeter are kind of like, because they're both,
Well, the tri-meter is like the granddaddy to the millimeter, so it's been around forever. So.
And that's an actual, it uses basic science to measure EMF detections, and it'll let you know if you're around something electric or if you're around something that's really not there.
The one device, at first I thought it'd be cool to have, but now I'm like, it's an SLS camera. Only because, from what we see on TV, it picks up a lot of cool figures, supposedly. Yeah. But all you see is stick figures.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not sure if that's actually bouncing off a energy in the room or if it's...
Now, I'll tell you...
Like a little from Matrixing, I don't know.
Something I always... And we got to take a break here soon, but all this goes back to Matrixing and believing things in your own head that aren't there, but... thermal imaging, I think, is wonderful. I think it's one of the best techniques to use because of hot and cold spots. You can actually see them.
Right.
Ghost hunters, and we talk about how much we don't really like ghost hunters, but
you gotta give them credit. I mean,
a lot of their best evidence comes from thermal imaging, and it corroborates the stories that of the locations they're on, and they can prove.
I mean, and I'll give Tatch a lot of credit, especially the first couple of seasons. That they were trying to debunk. The hauntings, it's actually, XYZ.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's changed over time, but, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But, yeah, I remember when they're at the Crescent Hotel in Arkansas, they got that man staring back at him wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Was that the Army?
Yeah. And that thing was dull as that wall right there. I mean, it was not reflective.
It's it's on that legit level as Ghost Adventure's first documentary at the Washoe Club when they caught that apparition walking.
Right.
I think those two are probably the most legit pieces of paranormal evidence because you can't disprove them.
Or even when
you can't disprove them yet.
When Ghost Adventures was at Goldfield, and then that board and brick flew across the room.
And the fact that again, we're about to take a break, but they actually had a video analyst on air going through with a spectrogram, trying to figure out what was causing this. They couldn't find any strings or reflections or light differentials, nothing that could disprove it. But like you said, yet.
And I just say that because we're going to be forever creating technology that
Yeah, I mean. We may actually have Ghostbusters one day with traps and proton packs.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, that'd be fun as hell.
That would be my career choice right there, or his, since he'll probably be in that day and age. But all right, when we come back for our third segment, we're actually going to talk about more of a supernatural, spiritual field here, in some of the quote unquote miracles that have happened, such as crying or bleeding statues or relics. The miracles of Fatima, spiritual apparitions, that whole shebang.
Now, are we actually going to segue to that topic? Because we've been just kind of shooting the breeze here this last 30 minutes or so.
Well, no, this topic we talked about Matrixing.
There's a bridge there.
There is. We were bridging the gap. Ha ha ha! I said it. All right, so we're going to take our minute-long break here. So take a second just to relax and get away from listening to our voices for a second. And we will be right back. This is Bridging the Gap. Stay tuned. we are back with Bridging the Gap here, the only podcast that talks about everything spiritual and paranormal, and you guessed it, tries to bridge the gap between them. Bishop Darren Martell here, alongside my brother and fellow spiritual warrior, Mr. Brendan Vesey. We are on our third and final segment tonight of the evening. So we've talked about major singing. We kind of just shot the breeze a little bit about some paranormal and spiritual stuff, how it happens after death. So let's talk about spiritual miracles, apparitions, like church apparitions and sightings, relics.
The Lady of Fatima, and bleeding eyes and blinking eyes.
Everything like that. So the first one I want to kind of talk about is the miracle of Lanciano. And that basically, the story behind that, it was a priest was doing the consecration during the Eucharist, and it was called transubstantiation. With Catholic theology and teaching says that the bread and wine at that point actually become the body and blood of Jesus Christ. And story says that the priest was kind of questioning his faith at this time. He was kind of questioning whether this was really happening. There's a lot of stories, but the one that's most frequented with this is that he was questioning what was the legitimacy of what was going on. So as he is holding up the host during the consecration, take this, all of you need it, this is my body which will be given up for you. The host, this wafer, turned into a piece of human flesh and began to bleed, and immediately he drops it. Just thinking, whoa, what is this? And he looks into the chalice, and instead of wine, there are globules of human blood, and this blood has been tested to be AB positive. Human blood. And to this day, there's a relic in Lanciano in a monstrance. And monstrance is this big old gold or silver, reliquary that holds usually the body of Christ. And to this day, this host is still there. It hasn't decayed, and it still bleeds. So, spiritually speaking, how do we disprove something miraculous like this that continues to show life? It's a piece of living human tissue that continues to bleed, and that's in my faith. That's God saying, "Okay, well, if you need proof, here it is. Here's his body."
It kind of sums up faith in a nutshell. It's like, how can someone believe? Well, if you see it with your own eyes and you can't rationalize it, what can it be? It could be that stuff from God or aliens or.
I know the Bible verse. Jesus taught us, blessed are those who believe and who have not seen. But sometimes it takes. Sometimes someone may be so questioning of their faith that it takes just that little push, and that was the push I believe that God gave that priest in Lanciano.
Right. Well, like for me, I believe in ghosts because I've witnessed too many things to discredit supernatural activity.
Definitely.
I've seen UFOs, so I can't discourage aliens or anything like that. Plus, we're not to get off topic, but this universe is too damn big to say that we're the only thing out here. So that's another conversation for another day.
It's very true. Now there are a few different other, supernatural occurrences within reliquaries, within statues that surround, the Catholic Church, just in general. One is the bleeding statue of Christ in Cochabamba, Bolivia.
Is that the one with Jesus blinking his eyes?
That's not the one with Jesus blinking his eyes. That's one I have pulled up too. But the statue is actually, it says at certain points, it'll actually weep and bleed. And the blood will coagulate. And they can actually pull it, and it's still human blood and human tissue. And so, with that, how do I word this in the right way? It's, unless somebody's sitting there and there's a tube attached underneath this statue, and they're pumping human blood through pores in this statue, which I don't think someone's going to go through, because, these things don't really make money.
Well, that's the thing. If they had a purpose behind it, anybody could do anything, but what would be the purpose of rigging this?
There are just some things you just can't explain, and that's part of the supernatural realm. That's why the paranormal field exists. The unexplained. You just can't prove or disprove or explain what's happening with these relics.
We're certainly going to try to explain it, but
And another one, you talk about the Virgin Mary, the statue in New Mexico, the Virgin Mary who weeps in olive oil, and it's pure 100% olive oil, which is the same type of oil that is used as chrism oil within the Catholic Church. Things like that. That's more of you got to look at it from a scientific point of view. Maybe there is someone who's controlling a device, but
it's funny. It's funny you mention that because there was a church in Dalton, Georgia, that supposedly had a Bible that leaked oil, and I was gonna go down to check it out. And I know people who have little vials of oil, and according to them, they haven't had any issues with it. But I've also, from what I've read in articles, it's been debunked.
Yeah, and those are little things that. But how can you debunk them? I mean, how can you prove or disprove at this point? Well, unless they take apart these relics, these Bibles or statues, and make sure, okay, I don't see a hose connected into the Bible itself.
But my question is okay, just for argument's sake, yes, the blood, the water, or all that is debunked or has no impurities or whatever. But at the same time, I mean, I've been on a case where I ran out of holy water and I found tap water, I was able to bless it, and it, for all intents and purposes, it worked, for the job. I mean, because the client, I mean, it took them. They said they had no issues for over a year, and I'm not sure what changed. But I mean, if they went through a year of no activity, something worked.
Yeah, it just.
So it wasn't. I mean, I'm not sure it's so much of the actual element more than my own personal faith and energy. Basically, being a middleman for Jesus Christ and for God to work miracles through me, and was able to bless. The holy water through me to get the job done. Yeah, I mean that's the way I can describe it.
I mean that's the thing. Anybody can bless. Anybody has that right and power by God to bless. It's not just reserved for those who get.
No, you just need that discernment and knowing and that faith.
Yeah, as long as you're doing it, in the name of Christ and for Christ, you have that power and discernment, and you have that calling. Mm-hmm. Go for it. And it's like, when my father passed away, I performed his last rites. Have I been ordained to the Roman Catholic Church? No, I have not. But that's not going to make or break his salvation. So, and anybody who sits there and says, well, no, it's not valid, you weren't really, no, that's just not.
Well, how the problem with that is we've been trained for centuries. In order for us to be this, you have to do this, this, and this. Yeah. I'm like, when did he a middleman for us to talk to God and talk to Jesus?
The reason that Christ made that ultimate sacrifice was so we can go back to God. That temple veil was torn so that people could go to the Holy of Holies without having to have, the high priest go in there for them.
And see, and of course this does not go to all priests or pastors and whatnot, because, I mean, we both know so many who doing the right reasons, doing the right job. But like we talked about a couple weeks ago, a lot of them are, whether it be for themselves or for attention or whatever,
selfish reasoning, and
it's like the only way you go to Christ is through me. I'm like,
I completely feel that holy orders, ordination, the right to perform sacraments is given by Christ, not given by man. Man makes laws, and man is flawed. Man is corrupt, no matter who it is. I've been
saying that for decades, brother.
Yeah, it's given by Christ. All ordination, all consecration, all right to bless is given by Christ through Christ. If you believe in your heart and soul that Christ will help or bless or heal, it will happen. That's how I believe. That's how I always believe.
How often do we see people do something like, let's say you start a job. Yeah. And I'm over that, dude, I don't think you should be doing that, man. And I have no reason to say that. Yeah. But in your heart and mind, you have the faith that I need to do this job. Yeah. And I have no idea what you're thinking of saying because God's not talking to me on this job. He's talking to you because he wants you to do something specific with his purpose. Yeah. And I'm over here judging you, thinking you're wasting your time. I don't know what's going on.
It's like a lot of people are like, well, God thinks this. God, nobody can speak for God.
No.
Nobody. We have so many ministers nowadays who try to, well, God says, and I know God said this. And nobody can speak for God. End of story. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I mean, all we're trying to do is be like him, learn from him, and really it's a big guessing game of what he wants us to do. Well, I mean,
and the kind of segue back into what we're talking about. No, because I mean, this is good though. It wasn't just a random kind of derail here. It was actually a very nice derail. We slowly jumped the tracks. But there's a church, going back to the topic for the segment, there's a church, the Holy Trinity Parish, where there's a crucifix, and you mentioned this earlier, where the thousands of people have flocked to see this. Mm-hmm. It's a gigantic crucifix and they apparently it's been, it's been said that this crucifix opens its eyes.
I've seen the video.
There's YouTube videos, but at the same time, videos can be doctored. Let's be real about that.
I was getting to that. I mean, people actually see this with their own eyes, the blinking of
I'd love to see this.
That's what I'm saying.
If this is legit, then there's the power of the Holy Spirit right there.
If thousands of people have seen this, then they're like, you know what? Hey, I'll go with it.
Yeah. And those are just a few of the things that have gone on in the modern times that, may actually be completely legit, and ways of God saying it's not time for everything to go just yet, but I'm going to let you all know that this is real.
But it's funny you mention that, because I told you my theory. I'm going to tell you my theory on here. They say in the Bible that 1,000 years on this planet is one day in heaven.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why I didn't take the book of Genesis literally.
Well, no. Well, I do believe that the flood did happen.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But the 7 days, I don't think it was 7 days. It could have been 7 million years.
Well, 7 days, that could be 7,000
years in humans' eyes, but it could be just 7 days in God's eyes.
Right, and that'd be, but once again, time is a man-made element. I mean, God can take thousands of years and twist the 7 days.
Yeah, I believe in dinosaurs. I believe in fossils. I believe in evolution.
I believe in dinosaurs. Just not on the ark, but that's another conversation for another day.
It's very possible to believe in evolution and Christianity. They both can mingle together.
I'm kind of on the boat.
So
back to my original point here. So Jesus was crucified, died, buried, and resurrected in 3 days?
Yes.
All right. So, once again, if you're going to play off that theory, 1,000 years, that's only been 2,000 years ago. That's been 2 days ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if people want to play those numbers, day 3 is right around the corner.
Yeah, but here's the thing also. Jesus, he told the Pharisees, and it was the first example of taking the word out of context by the Pharisees. When Jesus looked at them and said, "Destroy this temple, and within 3 days I will rebuild it." He was talking about himself.
Right.
Completely talking about himself. And they're like, no, he's going to tear down the building.
But the funny thing is, me being relatively new reading the Bible, I caught that. The second,
you have an open mind and have an open heart.
Right. So. I have an idea what he's talking about. He's not actually talking about visual structure.
Yeah. That was the door closing, by the way. Just yeah.
That's what I will say again and again. Everything around us is going to burn, including churches.
Everything man-made and materialistic will not survive. But what will survive is the soul and the spirit. That can never die.
Because, like I said, yes, God did promise He would not flood the earth again. But if I'm not mistaken, the next round is done by fire. So, He's not calling God a liar.
I hope I'm long gone, but still, the dead will rise from the grave to be judged.
And that's another thing. A friend of mine mentioned, and it's a good theory. Her belief is we're not dealing with spirits, and angels and demons, and we're actually are asleep until He comes back.
Exactly.
I'm like, I can't argue against it.
Just because you die doesn't mean you've been judged yet. That's again, none of us know until that happens. But to kind of close this up and follow up, there are also small things that we've seen, like in terms of the devil in the smoke of the, it was of course, unfortunately we're coming up on 9/11 here in the next couple days, prayers to the families still of those who lost loved ones, and it will remain a tragedy for all time, really, and not just in the history of the United States, but just a tragedy in the face of the world. So definitely, it's a very solemn occasion coming up. But when people start seeing the smoke, the devil's face, in the Twin Towers, and people are outlining it, and they see it there, or in the beams of light in the tribute to the towers, they see the angel at the top.
Right.
Those are things, and it's unfortunate that we think this, but we have to keep an open and scientific mind.
We want to believe, we want to say yes, it is Jesus or angel.
It can be doctored so much easier than relics that bleed.
Absolutely. And since we're on 9/11 for a moment, I want to say this. I can't remember. I want to say it was Falwell. Don't remember, but he made one of the most shittest remarks ever when he blamed basically people who had nothing to do with what happened that day.
Yeah.
I really would repeat what he said, look it up.
Sure.
But he blamed almost every minority you could think of on what happened. I'm like,
all 9/11 was a senseless tragedy. Thousands.
It was pure effing evil in the conversation.
2,600 people who lost their lives. I mean, they all died, unfortunately, I feel like in a sense in vain, because they didn't have to die. No one had to die. But I actually retract that. They didn't die in vain because, the U.S. did step up, and they,
it was probably
they honored that memory.
It was probably the last time this country was actually united.
Yeah.
And all right, so we're gonna whoop your ass. And it's we're so far away from that.
And that's for another episode. But it was senseless, and it's unfortunate. And it'll remain, a dark spot, But the memory of everybody who died is eternal, and that's the thing is, as long as we keep their memory eternal through.
Right. I know we're getting near the end, but I want to tell you my story, because I remember I was going to community college, and I remember that morning was like 8:30. I get up to use the restroom, and got down. I'm going back to bed because I have a few minutes before I have to get going. Mom stops me, and she's like, "Hey, planes just flew into both Twin Towers, into the Pentagon." I'm like, "Okay, that sucks." Yeah. Go back to bed. Keep in mind, when I'm in sleep mode, you can tell me half the world blew up, and I'm not going to give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'll go back to bed, and my buddy just blowing up my phone. I was like, "Dude, what do you want?" He's like, "Dude, turn on your TV." Turn it on. I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Okay. And it's like they knew it wasn't an accident. Once that second plane hit, you knew that it was.
And you see the smoke billowing out. I was like, "Oh crap!" And it's just a whole. I mean, I don't know how long, but that whole day, even going to school, people went to class, but nobody cared about the subject. People was like, okay, what because people have families, friends, involved in this, and
it was tragic. But again, we're coming up on the anniversary coming up, and this will be nearly 20 years. It'll be 19 years this year.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll end that tonight. So next week, we'll divulge the topic here in the coming days of what next week's episode is going to be. But for those of you listening who had loved ones who were involved in the accident, the tragedy of 9/11, you're definitely in our prayers and thoughts, and your loved ones.
We love you. You died forgotten.
They did not die in vain.
Not at all.
Their memory is eternal. So take 9/11 to pray. Be at peace with yourselves and your family. May the blessings of God be with you, and may the spirits of those who the lives that were taken, may they be looking down on us, and hopefully we can get over all this political garbage that's going on right now, and maybe look to how patriotic we were as a nation then, and maybe take a lesson from that.
And I hate to say it's going to take something like that for us to get back, but I don't know how else.
Definitely. So for Bishop Darren, and actually for Mr. Brendan Vesey here, I'm Bishop Darren Martell. Tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for another wonderful episode of Bridging the Gap. Take care, y'all.